That's the sign. We are back, and good to see you again, everybody. Really sorry for the short delay due to some technical problems, but you had now double as much time for your double espresso. I really hope you enjoyed it. This is the second half of our forum on the second day, and I have some panelists coming up and sitting close to me, a few steps away, safe behind the wall. Is Ana Garcia. Anna will be the presenter, the moderator of the upcoming panel. Anna, and we have a very, very special topic you specialized in, and we're going to talk about Data Spaces Business Alliance. What is a Data Space Alliance, Business Alliance?
Yeah, hello Moitza, and also welcome to everyone. So yes, the Alliance is a cooperation. It's a cooperation in between different associations, communities, mainly European, but also worldwide, that work on data. And they all work in developing ecosystems, data ecosystems. And we are joining forces. And together we bring cross-industry expertise, we bring also research, know-how, assets, and together we are stronger also in raising awareness about data spaces, really showing different technical solutions that exist, showing all the different pilots and activities that are already running, and really helping different industries to integrate data spaces. So we think we can accelerate this together. So these associations are GaiaX, are also FIWARE, International Data Spaces Association, and Big Data Value Association. And we were very lucky this morning, Moitza. We had with Sophie Proust from Atos. She mentioned the Alliance, and she brought a very nice diagram. And actually, when companies talk about us, that gives us a lot of purpose, because we are here to create impact for companies and to create impact for society. And I have to say, we are not alone. It's the four of us, but there are many other friends out there, like, for instance, My Data, for instance, New Governance, for instance, IoTI, and there are many others that are there, and we will collaborate with.
Yes, and you have really chosen very interesting panelists for today. What will you be talking about in the panel?
Yeah, so today, now in this panel, we go into action a bit. So we will also start talking about the policies, the European data strategy, and we are very lucky to have today with us Federico Milani, Deputy Head of Unit of the Unit G1, looking after data policy and innovation, and he will elaborate on this European data strategy, but also some important implementation aspects. Then we will also have other colleagues from the Andrea from the ICT Association, and she will bring us here in Slovenia, bring us more to the reality of the companies and the communities. And then I'm very pleased that we have here the representatives from these four initiatives, and I have to say it's a pleasure to work with them. I'm very honored that we are very committed to work together, and I will introduce later on, but we have with us Francesco Bonfiglio, CEO of GaiaX. We have also Ulrich Ale from CEO of FIWARE. We have Lars Nagel, CEO of ITSA, and we will have back our president for the Big Data Value Association. And together we are very committed to make this work.
Yes, and this was a bit of a warm-up for you as well right now, doing well. Anna, it's your time. Take the stage.
Thank you. So I would like to welcome first Federico Milani. And Federico, as I said, it could be very good to know from your side, to know a bit more about this European data strategy, in particular the data spaces, the European data spaces, but also what is coming up in terms of implementation actions. And thank you for joining us today. The floor is yours.
Thank you for having me, and good afternoon to everybody. Thank you for your introduction. As you said, we are the unit responsible for implementing the data strategy, and as we have announced in the data strategy, which has been published in February 2020, we had a number of initiatives that we have announced. First, some legislative instruments to promote and to foster the use of data and the sharing of data. And one of them that has been adopted already and that is being under discussion by the co-legislator is the Data Governance Act. Hopefully, we are very close to the adoption of, to the agreement between Parliament and Council and of the Data Governance Act, thanks also to the Slovenian presidency. So we hope that soon we are going to have the Data Governance Act adopted. In the meanwhile, we are working on the Data Act that will try to foster a fair use of data and fair sharing of the values of data, especially when this data is co-generated. So it's produced, for example, by devices that are managed, that are used by companies or individuals, and we want that both the companies that has develop the devices and that are collecting the data, but also the user of the device will have the possibility of exploiting data. But these are the legislative part that we have been presented several times and we will follow. What has been recently happened is also the adoption of the Digital Europe program, which is our financing instruments for the creation of data spaces, which is one of the other biggest challenges that we have presented in the data strategy. So what we are going to do there, as announced in the work program, we are going to invest in the next 2 years 400 million euros for really supporting the creation of these data spaces. And we are using them and we are trying to doing it from different angles and taking different aspects of the data spaces. Because as Anna was saying, we want to go fast and we want to have the creation of these data spaces in the shorter period possible. So one of the first things that I want to talk about is how we are going to progress by building the technological infrastructure. What we've done, the Commission so far, and my colleagues in the unit that is working on cloud and edge, is first of all started to launch a European Cloud and Edge alliance that will look at what are the basic infrastructure that are necessary to build up upon these data spaces. On top of it, using the Digital Europe program, what we are going to do is also to support and finance the creation of what we call a smart middleware software, open source, that could be used and will be used by the data spaces to build the basic infrastructure of the data spaces. So we are going to provide the software, the basic building blocks, in order to be able to build upon this data, the software, the data spaces. But we are not stopping there. What we want to do in parallel is also to mobilize all the various communities and stakeholders in all the various sectors, so that we can have also the stakeholders starting to identify the architecture that they want to put in place, the governance mechanism, and the rules and the contractual rules that are necessary in order to be able to build a data space where data can be shared in a trusted manner and where the data holders will be in full control on who can have access to their data and for which purpose and under which condition the data can be used. So with that, we are going to finance a number of coordination support actions, which are very short. So they are going to last 1 year, and we are already going to launch them in several data spaces. In overall, we are covering in the Digital Europe program for the first 2 years data spaces in 15 different sectors. Which spans from the health sectors to the tourism sectors and to the manufacturing, to the mobility. So there are plenty of initiatives that we are launching. How do we coordinate all this? Well, we want to coordinate all this, and we want to have all the stakeholders sitting at the same table and discussing how this can be developed and how we can assure interoperability between all the development of these data spaces through what we call a data space support center. Now, the data space support center will have three main roles. First is, as I was mentioning, create this network of stakeholders by involving all the various stakeholders, all the coordination support actions of all the specific sectors, and all the projects that are going to be funded, so that there will be a place where there's the possibility to discuss, identify common requirements, and make it possible that all the stakeholders will have the possibility of finding a common ground how to build these data spaces. The other part, as I was saying, is apart from creating the network, is making the network, identifying the common requirements, and identifying architectures that could be used in order to develop these data spaces that will be different depending on the sectors, most probably, and how the data can be accessed. You can clearly imagine that the data and the sharing of data in the tourism sector, on the health sector, will have different requirements in terms of security, in terms of access to the data. And therefore, we want that the data spaces support center anyhow will be able to find common grounds and common elements so that there will be interoperability between the various data spaces. And then the last part that we want to have by the data space support center is to create a platform where there will be exchange of knowledge, where stakeholders and where the major companies that are working on data spaces will be able to provide support to companies, small, medium enterprises that wants to join into a data space, and really to support all the participants to get to the major objective of building up these data spaces. And with that one, I stop here so that there will be time for questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Federico. This is a very exciting time for data, and we can see that many people will be busy, and including people from your unit. Congratulations for all the work done. So now we move from the European policies and implementation actions, we go local. And we have here, I'm very pleased to have here with me Andrea Lampe, and she's Director of Projects at the ICT Association. We have been collaborating so much also to build this event, and I'm so pleased to have you here. But now, Andrea, for you, because you come representing the ICT Association, the companies. So tell us a bit more, for these companies to enter into this data economy, what are the opportunities, what are the challenges? And of course, tell us a bit more about your ecosystem.
First, thank you so much for opportunity to welcome you in my hometown. I wish it would be with audience also, but nevertheless, thank you so much. Firstly, maybe a few words about association. We have about 200 members. Our main mission actually is to bring opportunities to them, to help them monitor and pick the initiatives where they want to build upon. I'm really happy that lately not only companies from ICT sectors, but also companies from other sectors are joining us, which means that the digital transformation is really becoming topic also for the non-digital sector, and this for me means that now we will be really starting the digital transformation. Other than that, I would say data spaces are key to data and digital economy, and also the common European market. And in digital economy, the winner takes it all. We have a digital disruption, we have the COVID disruption, and those disruptions together means a major opportunity for new for new winners. And let's seize this opportunity for Europe to regain the leadership, to regain the digital sovereignty. And I'm sure that many of those new winners will be on the reusing or using of secondary data and artificial intelligence. To go a bit to the sector, to the companies, ICT sector is extremely busy right now. It's very hard for them to follow initiatives. It's very hard for them to bridge the gap of the skills, of the ICT professional skills. So they're mainly focused on market on fulfilling the market demand. They don't have luxury, especially SMEs, to follow the initiatives. Even on data and artificial intelligence, we have many of them. So this is where associations like us, business support organizations like us, steps in. Our mission is to monitor the global initiatives, to find which are relevant, which one will prevail, which one is building on the European values, and which of them are only there for seize the opportunities and for the profit. So I would say I'm extremely happy that I would call them the big four of data. My co-panelists to take the leadership, to take the initiative and collaborate to found the Data Spaces Business Alliance, to bring together all the initiatives, or let's say all the major initiatives around the data, and I'm expecting that we will get tangible, concrete tools which will help the SMEs, let's say, to catch up and to take the data economy. I'm really looking forward to see what's coming. Really tangible results. I would also like to touch a bit the data literacy. In Europe, we are so behind, even on basic digital skills. It's very hard for people to take part in the decision process about or future making on the data economy if they don't have even basic digital skills. And we need to upgrade those to the data literacy also. For example, in Slovenia, we have companies and SMEs with absolutely no idea about the data economy or digital economy on one hand, and on the other, we have an organization which lands the third on Gartner's Ion Innovation Award this year for their initiative, the data DNA transformation. So data DNA transformation. And we have everything in between. I guess with all vast investment coming and also the legislation package coming in, we really need to focus how we will not leave everyone behind, how we will build the fair and ethical data economy and and business models around the data. So this would be my big concern.
Thank you very much, Andrea. And you give us a lot of purpose, and you put a lot of good things on the table. And I really like very much this closing with the data literacy and also this inclusiveness that we are building this data economy and needs to be ethical, and we don't need to leave anyone behind. So with this, thank you. I jump and I introduce now Francesco Bonfiglio. Francesco, you are the CEO of GaiaX. Thank you for being with us today. And you had your summit like 2 weeks ago. If I'm not mistaken, and you also were talking about the alliance. You were presenting the alliance, and you had a lot of discussions about the data spaces and the data economy. What can you tell us? What can you bring from the GaiaX summit to us, and also tell us a bit about your ambition of GaiaX in this implementation of the data strategy?
Thank you, Anna, and sorry for not being there with you in Ljubljana. I think this is a great opportunity, actually, to talk about data because of the moment or the momentum we're building. We heard from Federico the enormous opportunity we have through the DEP, the Digital Europe program, and the amount of investments that European Commission is putting on the table. But more in general, I would like to talk about what I'd like to call a new movement for data ethics in Europe. And this is the way I like to think about GaiaX and actually also the DSBA, the Data Space Business Alliance that we have just created through the alliance of BDVA, FIWARE, IDSA, and GaiaX. I think that we are living a moment where it is true what Andrea was saying. We are lacking literacy on data, but we need to be aware that this literacy will not come through just technology skills. We need to be aware that the overall economy nowadays in Europe and in the next 5 years will dramatically change. So we are going into a dramatic change of the value of products and services in the market. What I mean is that we should not just look at the direct revenues, the direct value of the market share of digital economy, which is simply the sum of the revenues of the companies working on technology, system integration, data, etc. But actually, we should look at the induction of this market into the normal, if you want, the analog or physical ecosystems. So when we think about a car versus a smart car, a fridge versus a smart fridge, or anything that becomes smart one way or another is building a value on top of a traditional product or service that, according to the estimates, will become a substantial portion of the price to market of that product and service. In 5 years, the estimates say that 50 to 70% of the value of products and services will be directly or indirectly produced through the data. Now, if we understand this, we understand that what we're trying to achieve with GaiaX and with the Data Space Business Alliance is a new opportunity for Europe to preserve not just the IT market, not at all, but actually the overall economy, the real economy, employment, the future of entrepreneurship, the education, because one way or another, we will become dependent on digital platforms. So one of the key messages out of the summit of 2 weeks ago, you're right, Anna, I would catch the message that was clearly given by three very esteemed guests. One was the director, Roberto Viola from DG Connect. Another one was Minister Peter Altmaier from the German government. And the third was Minister Bruno Le Maire from the French government. They made their own speech, and it was extremely interesting. But the common message they sent were two. One, they referred to GaiaX as a point of convergence of all the initiatives around Europe that started already 2 years ago, and they see us making significant progress. So they made a call to action to make GaiaX services, which are also the objective of the Data Space Business Alliance, come true. The second message that I captured and excites me a lot because I truly believe in it, they said that Gaia-X is not just something for the industry or the public sector. It has to create a change for citizens, for the civil society. And this is what I've been talking about before. So I truly believe that we need to translate the theoretical concept of a data space into something that the small, medium business, first of all, the industry, but also the citizens understand as the only way to maintain competitivity in the European market and in the overall market for Europe, leveraging the incredible power of our knowledge, our competence, our small, medium business, our startups that has no equal in the world, but suffers one simple major problem, the lack of critical mass. So exchanging data across actors to build a common value that provides earnings to all of them, exchanging infrastructures across players around Europe that makes them capable to compete with the broad markets, create a unique opportunity. And we are here, and together with the Data Space Business Alliance, we really want to create an alliance, not just from a technical perspective, not just from a theoretical perspective, but from a very pragmatic perspective, trying to find the best opportunities around Europe for creating data space projects, try to rank them according to their probability to succeed, create an impact in Europe, and help them moving from inception to deployment. This is the purpose of our alliance, is the purpose of Gaia-X, and I believe is the purpose of our representatives in the European Commissions and in the member states.
Thank you very much, Francesco. And thank you also for bridging in between the Gaia-X Summit and the European Big Data Value Forum. It's important that we tell the story through our different events. And with this, I would like to welcome Ulrich Alle, CEO of Fiverr. And Ulrich, from the Fiverr perspective, what do you bring to the implementation, to support the implementation of the European data strategy? What is your ambition on this domain?
Yeah, hello, Anna, and hello to all of you. As you know, Fiverr originally was designed by the European Commission and its partners from industry, from research, to create open source technology on the one hand and open standards for the future internet on the other hand. In the meantime, and this endeavor started 10 years ago, and in the meantime, this vision has materialized. E.g., for example, by the context broker, which is now a SAF building block driven by the unit of Federico, NGSI as a standard interface, as a standard API for data management, or the smart data models, where hundreds of data models have been standardized in the meantime. And this is used to create data spaces and smart solutions nearly in the meantime all over the world, nearly on all continents. For example, in the domain of smart cities, more than 250 cities in 30 different countries are creating their smart city, their digital platforms and data spaces, in that case, based on Fiverr technology. And I think we have some really proven building blocks we would like to bring into this endeavor of the Data Spaces Business Alliance. And maybe let me use a story from India. So not from Europe, from India, to illustrate the business benefits of such an approach. When Prime Minister Modi was elected for the first time, that was back in 2014, he quite soon identified the topic of digitization as very important for India, also for Indian cities. And he started the 100 Smart Cities mission in India. And in June 2015, so quite soon after, a total of 98,000 crore Indian rupees. This compares to $13 billion, not million, $13 billion was approved by the Indian cabinet for the development of these 100 smart cities. And then the big consulting companies of this world came supported the cities in creating their strategy, brought first tenders to the market, supported the implementation of first solutions. And 2.5 years ago, the Indian Minister for Housing and Urban Affairs, who is responsible for this program, identified each city has built its own silo. There were only little synergies between the different data spaces the cities created within their city borders. And the wheel has been reinvented several times using public money and public funding. And this was a moment when he said, we need to change our strategy. We need to change our way to digitize Indian cities. And sometimes you need to be at the right place at the right moment. And I was invited by the World Bank to a smart city conference in New Delhi. And a similar panel was in that time shared by the state secretary who was responsible for this 100 smart cities program within the ministry. And after he listened to the 5R approach with standard APIs, standard data models, open source, he came to me and said, we need to talk. I had a meeting the same night in the ministry. And since 1.5 years or close to 2 years, the 5R Foundation, together with some partners from its ecosystem, is supporting the India Institute of Science in Bangalore to create first the architecture for a standard smart city platform in India. And then we did the implementation, which is piloted in 10 cities in the meantime. And earlier this year, the Minister for Housing and Urban Affairs, together with the Technology Minister, announced this standard smart city platform as the new standard for Indian cities, not with intention to replace the existing 100 ones. They have done their implementations, but with the ambition for the remaining 4,200 large cities in India. And I think this is an example how the adoption of open source, of standard APIs, of standard data models, and especially these two elements are breaking down the data silos. How this helps to create synergies and also to speed up the implementation of real-world data spaces. And as I said, our ambition is to bring in this existing software building blocks, the real-world implementations. We have here the experience also from bringing benefits to citizens, to companies, and to contribute this to the overall endeavor of the Data Spaces Business Alliance.
Very good. Thank you, Ulrich, and congratulations for the progress of 5R, and also a very good example. This example of the cities in India help us is very illustrative of how.
And maybe Anna, if I may,
of course.
There's one country in Europe which is following a similar way, requesting their cities to apply to standard API, to apply to standard data models when driving the digitization in their cities. And you are sitting actually in this country because it's Slovenia. Slovenia is the first country in Europe following this path, and for me, a blueprint also for other European countries. Sorry for interrupting.
No problem. We are in a panel. We need to interrupt each other. So it's good to give us purpose also for those ones that are like me here together here today in Ljubljana. So thank you, Rick. And now from 5R, we move into the Big Data Value Association again. And we have today again president of BDVA. And Thomas, tell us what is BDVA doing to support the implementation of the European data strategy? What is our ambition in this collaboration?
Okay, hopefully you can hear me. Also warm welcome also the persons Francesco, Ulrich and Lars about back to Italy or Germany or wherever you are sitting. Good to see you at least remote again. Last time we've seen us, for my case, was also remote by the GaiaX Summit. That's the first step. The second topic is, you know, in my body are somehow two hearts. There's the BDVA heart and the GaiaX heart, because I'm also a vice chairperson of the GaiaX. And thanks to Andrea, maybe Francesco, you not knowing this, but Andrea was a person who making the Gaia X Hub in Slovenia happen. And I was also during this event remotely connected. This is only to give you a context. And what is the ambition? I phrase it a different one. I would start, let's say, with ambition that we want to create impact, because also coming from industry, we want to achieve something to create impact. And you know, I have also a number in my mind that only 20% of the data are used at the moment for improve existing processes or businesses, but and this I am 100% agreeing with Francesco, there are huge additional opportunities where we, when we are not careful, will be bypassed. This was a 70% what you mentioned before. And having this in mind, you know, we have had, it was during summertime, also not long ago, a meeting and saying, come on, let's put our heads together. Let's put the head together and saying, okay, we have the Gaia X, we have the Fiverr, EDSA, we have BDVA. Andre, I have to thank you. Now you're giving us a name. We are the gang of the four, or however you explain this. But we're sitting together and saying, okay, let's do it. We ignore everything around. We put our hands on. Maybe an approach which I like, and just started to describe this, to write it down. And I can tell you, this was done in 3 weeks, 4 weeks, don't ask me. And we have the signature process and done. But, and this was also the important topic, is what Francesco mentioned, but it's not only a paper, we are doing this. So we have also, thanks, not myself, because I was only indirectly involved, filed a roadmap what we want to achieve. And what BDVA can do is, BDVA is, you have the data infrastructure, you have the data spaces, you have the value to get out of the data, because at the end, with the value, you get the information, the impact, and think about my first word, where you can create impact in different domains. So meaning, and BDVA, natural, the name includes the name Big Data Value Association, and that's exactly what we are coming to the area to support this joint initiative with a value part to create impact. And to be honest, regarding data spaces, we have also some kind of data space ideas inside BDVA, more, let's say, on a one level. Gaia X, the similar one. We have the connectors. Just bring our heads together, what we want to achieve. And when you ask me from BDVA, we have the value part. We are also from the topics what we have achieved, partially complementary. I don't care about the partially. I think we are very complementary in the one or the other side. And the overlapping point, to be honest, I don't care, because at the end it doesn't count, because we want to create together impact. We have done some history of projects which we can bring in to this, I want not to say adventure, to this journey. I think it's a better way, journey. And last but not least, we have also regarding data ethics, some kind of data wheel, where for sure one of my next talk will be with Francesco, how we can elaborate out of this and really push it together forward. Because again here, impact, value, bringing the achieved topics on the table and just doing it.
Excellent, Thomas. Thank you very much. And now I would like to also invite Lars Nagel, CEO of International Data Spaces Association. So thank you for being with us today, Lars. And tell us also from your side, what is the role that ITSA brings to the general implementation of data, of the European data strategy, on also to this alliance?
Yeah. Hi, Anna. Hello, Thomas, Francesco, Ulrich. Thank you for hosting us and giving us this great opportunity. So many experts on data spaces on stage today. So what is left open for me to say? IDSA, we bring a certain component, certain item to data spaces, so trust and interoperability. I will come to that later. I would like to reflect on our joint endeavor, and I would really like to underline once again that we are standing in front of a true paradigm shift. So it's not only us, 4 organizations, and probably several other organizations which have come across that data spaces are obviously necessary to leverage the potential which we do have in Europe's and even in the global economy. Well, that is written in the European data strategy. So 6 years ago, when you were asking someone about data spaces, no one really knew what data spaces. And since well, I would say 2.5 years, data spaces are all over the place. Data spaces are, well, happening everywhere. Everyone is discussing about it. And now first data spaces are really evolving. And so the Commission is supporting this tremendously. And well, the 4 of us, the big 4, I like that term, from Data Spaces Business Alliance, we want to promote and to facilitate that we really well, leave impact and leverage this big potential. Because, well, let's reflect once again on a data space. Why is data spaces such a cool idea? Because data spaces are the representation of a true federated and fair environment to share data. So it's a protected environment in which participants can freely share data by adhering to clear rules. And with that, we protect something we call data sovereignty. And this can only, well, be done for transparency and fairness reasons. And with that, we can generate economic value. And how can we really generate this value? Well, by providing and combining as many data sets as possible. So this is the cool thing with the data space. We can enlarge the pool of data, share data cross-sectoral, and really do more than was possible before. Well, what is missing? Well, the infrastructure behind. So we need something like the GSM for mobile communication or the SWIFT for banking. We need this for data sharing, and not for data sharing like emails, for data sharing like really valuable data sets. And that is what we have to set up. We can call it a soft infrastructure or smart middleware, as it is called. So we need this. And this, well, soft infrastructure, it will be invisible to the customer, to the people out there, to the companies. And this is also cool with data spaces because we can combine any data endpoint which is out there. So a data endpoint from open data, a data endpoint from a smart device, from a wearable, data endpoint which provides data from an individual, from a citizen, or from a company and a machine in a factory. And we combine all of this, and then we create value. And this is what we have to make happen. And well, it's us organizations to, well, make sure that we come up with a common framework for these data spaces, which entails a holistic approach. So not only, as mentioned, the technical and functional things behind, but also the operational, the legal, and the business-oriented aspects of that. And well, that is what we bring to the table. So we do not only know how to build a data space, we know how to run a data space to make it happen. And one crucial thing is, and that is what we have to jointly activate everyone out there. So in front of the monitors, all the people and companies out there, what we have to do is to motivate everyone to share data, because still most of the data is not shared. In personal environment, it's different. So all my photos are on Facebook, right? But in a professional environment, companies, they are still hesitant to share data because they don't know what happens to their data set once they have shared it in an unknown environment. And that is what we have to overcome, come up with a framework for data spaces, which delivers the trust and the insight and the acceptance from companies that it is okay to share data. So there's no regret sharing data, and that is what we really want to stimulate. And well, the question must be, do I plug in to a data space or not? And it is us to come up with this soft infrastructure, with this thorough foundation to, well, embrace everyone there, to reassure everyone and say, it's fine, you can share your data because we take care that your data is safe and that only this happens to your data what you want to happen. And well, that is what we all together have to make happen. We want to stimulate the growth of data. We have to massively speed up on that end. And one core aspect there is to come up with a common framework for data spaces where we harmonize and align our architectures and our frameworks, and then clearly and very soon deliver and build data spaces. So we need components, building blocks, everything what Federico said at the beginning, and with the 4 organizations, we have, well, really a lot of this in place, and we are there to deliver soon. And that is my ambition and my hope for next year to really see, next to data spaces like Catena and mobility data space and smart connected supply network, really to have more of these great examples, and probably the smart cities are a rearm to be watched.
Thank you very much. Really, Lars, very good. Something now I would like to call all the speakers, but I want to comment on something that has happened already. So I have been asking each of the speakers about tell us more about you, and instead of talking about me, we were talking about us. So this is already a great achievement. I have to say how important it is that already when we are introducing the Alliance, we are giving already the floor to this common space. And that for me is actually something that I'm very impressed. So thank you for these introductory speeches. So now we go into a bit of a discussion. And I want to also welcome our audience, because I know, I mean, you are there behind the cameras, we are here. Also, some of the speakers are not here. Many of you are in B2Mat, and you know, please post some questions. I don't think we will have much time, but we will try. And if not, we will do later. But we are here for you, so we haven't forgotten you. And now for our panelists, let's cover 3 topics. And I will start with the topic of ecosystem and cooperation. And I'm going to start again with Federico, because I want to ask to Federico, what is your perception from the European Commission about this cooperation that is happening now in between different associations?
Well, as was mentioned already by Francesco, and what Roberto Viola, my Director General, said, I think I can just repeat it. So we are very welcoming this cooperation, because we know that the deployment of data spaces, so the creation of data spaces, can happen only if all the stakeholders are working together and are defining the bits and pieces that are necessary to create a data space. It's not going to be a very simple exercise, although there is a will to make it happen, because of all the point that you've heard. So you have to build an infrastructure, but you have also to create an environment of trust between the data holders and the data users. You have to create an environment where the company that wants to share data think that they get a fair return on sharing the data. So it's quite some work that needs to be done, and all the major association, stakeholders, industries, public and private organizations are really very welcome to work together, because it's the only way that we can put it together. But I want also to answer to 2 points that Andrea made before. By building up data spaces, we want really to work and make possible that small, medium enterprises will have access to the data. It's a way to open up the data and not letting it handled by the major platform. If one of the major objectives is that if a small medium enterprise enter into a data space, they will have the same possibility of accessing the data than anyone else. And the other part that I wanted to mention that I forgot is that in the Digital Europe program, we are also taking care of the lack of skills, because we are going to launch a call for proposal for 70 million for creating masters for what we call digital masters, so master in specific topics, among which there is artificial intelligence, high performance computers, cybersecurity, and data analysts, which they are what I'm asking to the university that are here in this panel, is to get together and really develop these masters, because as you've heard, there is the needs of specialized people that will work on data.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Federico, and I'm very glad that you are addressing again the topic of skills. And indeed, the support in particular to small and medium enterprises is key. And it's very good that we are also discussing this topic of the fair data economy, and therefore we really need to make sure, as we were commenting before, that we don't leave anybody behind. So we continue with the aspect of the collaboration, and now I'm asking Thomas, Lars, Francesco, Ulrich, in this order, if it's possible. Why is this happening now? Why are we collaborating now?
Good question. Next question. Now, serious answer. Let's say we created, and in this case, I put my second heart in my body. We created GaiaX beginning of the year. We're setting up a significant momentum, the sense for urgent. And also some ideas, and I think it was Federico who just mentioned this, and I can only tell you the story. I was some months ago at the EMO at Milano, and an EMO is a machine tool builder conference where maybe a lot of small and medium-sized enterprises are inside, and they are very well aware that they have to share or to do something with data. Let's phrase it in this way: to do something with data. Existing process, or what Francesco explained very well, what are the 70% in the future, which we have to look for future topics. And they're always saying, we need some security, trust, control, portability, and. I think Francesco can now continue with the topic, and this is now on the discussion. So meaning we have also some kind created some sensitiveness around this. So, meaning now we have the right time. You can ask me, would this be possible, or had it not been done last year? Yes, but for sure not next year. So, meaning the association are existing. Therefore, they have values to put in the association. Value, industrial AI, cooperation, linked to standardization, whatever you mention. They have hubs. You know this, we're just speaking about this. So it was just the moment and the sensitiveness of the community is here. And that's, also I'm myself also getting from the company perspective requests. Small and medium-sized enterprise, let's say a lot of our customers or suppliers, sorry, I put now the Siemens head again away, but they are looking, okay, you're doing this, that's great, because then we have an access point, and I think Francesco mentions the single stop shop, I think was the name, hopefully I phrased it correctly. Now they have it, and they have the different pillars together: infrastructure, data spaces, value.
Okay.
With the constraints which we have.
Thank you, Thomas. I see the forces are, around the dialogue at the different topics really are, it's like an attraction to a very good, important moment to collaborate. Lars, what is your viewpoint? Why now? Why is this happening now?
Well, it is not happening now. It has been happening since over 2 years. Now we have announced it, and we have we have delivered, and we really took leadership and put ourselves in position and said, okay, we are the go-to place when you want to build data spaces. So we have been collaborating already before in bilateral setups with BDVA, FireWare, and we have been with Gaia-X before there was Gaia-X. Well, we are also happy with what happened with Gaia-X because it was desperately needed. Well, if you want to build data spaces, you need a lot of ingredients, right? So I always compare it to a restaurant, right? So at the end, we want to eat good food. So everyone has contributed something. So perhaps IDSA, we've brought the stuff and the oven, and FireWare, the cutlery and plates and the furniture, and BDVA, all the recipes and the ingredients. But we need someone to run the restaurant, to organize all of that, and to well, have the sign at the street so you can get food here and come in, and someone has to take care that it's really delicious and someone uses the stuff and the oven and so on, right? So, and therefore we have this perfect fit, that is what I would say, with the four organizations. So we can more or less represent the full stack which we need for the data economy to happen, and definitely to build the data spaces. So we are inclusive. We are representing more than 1,000 organizations and companies all over Europe, and also all the relevant other initiatives and organizations which are out there are related with us. So we can make sure that you really have a great experience when going out and dining. And therefore, I would say we are a perfect fit. And now, so the question after that now is, we have to make data spaces happen. So obviously, time has come to really build the data spaces, to really go the next evolutionary step. And therefore, we may not end up like the cities in India, right? Having silos once again. And that is what we have to make sure with our one-stop shop experience.
Thank you, Lars. I'm enjoying the answers to these questions, so I will continue. Francesco, why now?
You're on mute, Francesco.
Yeah, Francesco, I think you're muted, so if you can put your microphone on.
Yeah, sorry. I say I can go for the easy answer. I was not here 1 year ago, so I just joined this year. So why now? Because I just joined this, in this role. No, jokes apart, I believe that the answer to your question is a combination of a few elements. One is the momentum. We are living a momentum here where we understand for the first time what data space can do. I'm not saying that we understand exactly how to build a data space, and that's why we decided to ally together. But people start to understand that data spaces can really revolutionize the future of the digital economy, and I keep repeating myself, the real economy. I make a very simple parallel when I explain that. Data spaces stand to data like open source stand to products. And I believe people have not yet understood the power of open source, which is an incredible booster. And somebody still believes that owning the intellectual property is better than sharing it and focusing just on the high level value. The same is happening with data spaces. Once upon a time, people tried to retain the data for themselves. Now people understand that without the data of the full supply chain, the full value chain, you cannot build value. You're hitting the roof. So we have the momentum, we have the maturity, because associations like BDVA, IDSA, FireWare, all of them, but Gaia-X, have been there for a while. So they had the time to understand, elaborate, and also find the limits, because all of us are very synergetic because we are complementary. So now we are mature and we understand that we have just one message. No need to have different messages. The third element is the opportunity. And we have heard from Federico, and we know all is going on. We have the real opportunity to make a change. So now is the time to avoid fragmentation and dispersed messages. We need to converge into, as much as possible, common stories, common projects, and focus on something that create real impact, like Thomas said. Last but not least, synergy. We couldn't make it if we wouldn't be synergic. And I have to admit that this is happening now, but it doesn't come for free. I mean, I haven't seen in the past many associations like ours joining together very happily, sharing resources, ideas, and assets in such an agile way. And I come from the business, so maybe I have not enough experience in the associations. But to me, this is really unprecedented because we decided that synergy is better than isolation. So all in all, I think that we can only fail. But I truly second what Andrea said in terms of advocacy or literacy. We need to make sure people understand what we're doing, because this is not something for academy. This is for the real life. And I'm sure that everybody wants to hear that story through concrete examples, which we are going to focus in our plan of execution.
Thank you very much, Francesco, and thank you also for sharing this agile way of collaborating that we have. So I have a bit of experience in associations, and I haven't seen anything like this before. So I can confirm, at least from my experience, that it's unprecedented what we are doing and the energy that you all and we all are putting on this. You said momentum, maturity. We have also Francesco, so it's the now. But I would like to go to Ulrich and to know why the now from your perspective, Ulrich. What else can you add to this?
Yeah, let me maybe put another perspective on that. We are starting this now, or we have started it now due to Corona. Corona has shown to a lot of end users how important digitization is, how important interoperability is. If you look, for example, at Germany, at the public processes, if you look at the coalition contract of the new government in Germany, it was published end of last week, 172 pages. On 92 of them, you find the word digital. And this is completely new compared to 4 years ago when the last government was created. So on the end user side, on the public side, in manufacturing industry, in energy, it is clear that sharing data, that digital solution is of utmost importance to further support the business processes and to create resilient business processes, to create resilient cities, to create resilient companies. And data spaces play a very important role in here. And these data spaces need to be interoperable. And this is the mission of the Data Spaces Business Alliance, to use open source technologies, to use open standards to create interoperable data spaces. And with this, to enable the data economy. And data economy requires data sovereignty, that people are willing and able to share data, but also that the creator of data is able to benefit from their data. So monetization of data is very important, because open data does not automatically mean that these data are for free. They need to be accessible, but for some data, they contain a value, and companies would need, and also people would need to pay for this data. And this is also one of the targets of the Data Spaces Business Alliance, to come up with instruments, with mechanisms to enable the monetization of this data. And with this also to create the sustainability for the data spaces which are in place, and Lars mentioned already some, and which ones will be created in the future.
Thank you very much. And really, you all brought very different perspectives, but complementary. So I'm happy that the question of the now came, because I think we all learned from different perspectives. We have a very little time left, even when we started a bit late as well. But I'm going to jump very quickly on the impact before we give visibility to the things that are upcoming with the Alliance. And for the impact, I want to ask both Andrea and Federico, And this links with something that I think Francesco mentioned before. So it's impact, of course, of data spaces into SMEs, into all companies, but also society. So we want to create impact in society. And Federico, Francesco, and several of you said that. So I want to hear from you, Andrea, and after from Federico. Really, what do you think will be the impact of data spaces in society, going beyond the companies?
Let me first comment on Ulrich. Magic happens when people collaborate every time. And in a case Ulrich was mentioning, why Slovenia advanced so much is because we open the discussion between the stakeholders. The initiative came from the companies. And then also what is really important, the government supported this. The government opened the dialogue with the digital sector, with the communities, and listened. And our stakeholders said, look, we take a look across the Europe, what are the initiatives, what we have to follow, and they listened. And at the end, for our companies, it means when they develop solutions according to the, let's say, Living in EU initiative, or according to the data spaces rules, let's say, they will immediately have advantage in the market. So it's really, really important for us to follow those initiatives. And thank you guys for being so active. Well, we are following GaiaX and Fiverr and and the BDVA. This is why we want to hear directly from the European initiatives and bring this as soon as possible to our members, to our communities. And I think as quicker as we will be, the biggest impact will be on the communities, because they will not invest, like in Slovenia, we have 220 municipalities. Do we need to invest in 200 open data platforms or mobility solutions? No, we don't. We don't even need to invest in that many APIs like developers interact between the applications. We simply have to have the data space to integrate the solutions.
That's excellent, Andrea. I think because really we are running quite short, and instead of asking you, Federico, now for the impact on society, I'm going to jump into the last point. That is what is coming next for the Alliance, and that way we can communicate what is coming up. But before going to that, just asking you from the European Commission, do you have any expectations from the Alliance towards you? What would you like to see in the next few months from the Alliance? And then we will tell what is coming up. Federico?
Well,
yeah, okay.
I think, I was thinking actually, what we are expecting from the Alliance and all the organizations that are working on the data space is really embrace the various activities and become very active in really defining the data spaces and implementing them. We are pushing, and we are doing it through, as I was saying, the Digital Europe program. We are moving now into the deployment phase, but we cannot do it. The Commission cannot do it by itself. So it's really organization like yours getting together, involving the stakeholders, as we mentioned, involving SMEs, and responding to the needs and to the requirement that we've heard also from Andrea. This is what we would like to hear from all the major companies that and organizations and associations that are working on the data space. So really move to the deployment phase.
Excellent, thank you. I think maybe we have some messages for you to close. And I will go one by one with the four organizations. Very short, please. I will ask you what are we delivering now with the Data Spaces Business Alliance? And each of you cover one point. Thomas, what is coming up with the Alliance? What can we inform to everyone?
Very short, we have first of all a joint roadmap. That's the first topic. And one part of the joint roadmap is we have also different hubs. Different style of hubs, we have to say, and we want to have a map of the hubs in January. I counted up, maybe we have 100 hubs around the globe, so to say, also. And when we just providing a hub, then we can help immediately enterprises or see what has a gap with a hub.
Excellent. So hubs collaborating together. Ulrich.
Yeah, we are working, or teams from all the 4 organizations are working on a common reference architecture to build these data spaces, identifying building blocks as much as possible to be used in different verticals, in different domains, but as less as necessary. So to find the right momentum here. Is it an easy job? For sure not. For sure not, because there are so many interests, so many companies, so many other organizations. But I think, as Lars mentioned, we are joining forces of more than 1,000 companies and organizations here. And I'm pretty sure we will be able to create clearly a momentum in the creation of data spaces. And the first reference architecture is available in January of next year.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Francesco. With your microphone on, please.
Yep. That's the typical sentence. You are on mute.
Yeah.
So I think we mentioned already a couple of the most important things. We're putting together the people. We're putting together the hubs. We're putting together a framework, and we are putting together one message, one voice. So you can think about the DSBA as a kind of new. Don't get me wrong, it's not a company in strict terms, but we want to have a sales message, which is the story of data space. We want to have a common framework, which is the combination of the tools and assets we have to build data spaces. And we want to have a go-to-market, which is the combination of the hubs. So I think an important thing to do that is the radar. So we are developing a radar of opportunities that allows us to identify, based on KPIs, those opportunities that have higher probability to become concrete projects. The story I keep saying is moving from use cases to business cases. So the radar will be, it's already well defined, but it will be finalized as well by the beginning of next year.
Thank you very much, Francesco. And Lars, tell us more about the radar and all the things.
Yeah, well, the radar will be the foundation to really add support where it is needed and where we can leave most impact. So that is why we do this. So we need visibility, then we can scout, and then we can support. And it's not us as non-profit organizations to support, but we need really strong partners, facilitators, implementation partners, to make data spaces happen. And that is a big thing. So we have research and technology organizations, we have the consultants, we have system integrators. So they are related to all of our organizations, and they are those who can facilitate and support data spaces to really flourish. And this must be based on the common framework as we have laid out, so that we do not end up in silos. So that is what we have to make sure, to come up with a clear deployment team, which is visible, which, is this go-to place. And the radar also follows the purpose of, giving visibility, and therefore it's the baseline for matchmaking for all the people, companies, organizations out there, because that is where we started. Data spaces are the sum of as many data endpoints as possible. So therefore, with that, we enlarge the pool of data, and with that, we can make AI and big data really happen. So that is what we have to make happen. As many participants in data spaces as possible, and they must be interoperable, cross-sectoral. That is what we have to make sure. And therefore, please join our radar. You will find it on our social media channels. all of us will benefit from more visibility what is going on in the realm of data spaces. And we will also organize matchmaking events so that you can meet each others and really build big data spaces.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Lars. Just to close, to the colleagues on the table, we are showing now the graph. And this is just connecting what Lars was saying and also what Federico was also saying, and showing this agile collaboration. We would like to announce that in 2 weeks, 16th of December, the 4 organizations, also together with others like My Data, we are organizing this kind of brokering, matchmaking among our communities, everyone, really to strengthen all the projects and proposals for the Digital Europe program. So keep an eye on the announcements, and also thank you to the IDSA team for building this visual. And with this, I would like to invite again everyone, and thank you very much. It has been a great panel. I'm very glad that I'm here with you. And sorry that we are a bit late, but we also started a bit late. And I hope we can continue this collaboration on the same way. Thank you very much.
Thanks,
and see you very soon.
Bye-bye.
Mojca, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Anna. You really feel well, right?
You're very well.
Wow. Excellent moderator we have here in our studio. I would just like to say we see you in 5 minutes. Give us a bit of a time that we prepare everything for the next panel, but stay on our radar. We'll be back in 5 minutes. And meanwhile, you can see some statements of members of the BVDA board. So see you soon.
Hello everyone. My name is Harald Schöning. I work for Software AG. Software AG is a provider of data management solutions, including a world-leading IoT platform. We also engage in BDVA. It's a pity that we cannot meet in person today. These days are so busy with initiatives around data, Gaia-X, the European Open Science Cloud, the upcoming IPCI on cloud infrastructures and services, just to name a few. We, the community of industry, science and the European Commission, must collaborate to harmonize all these initiatives and create synergies between them. Let's work together to make sure that Europe stays an important player when it comes to data utilization.
Now we have the screen.
Please have an enlightening and inspiring EDBVF, despite the limitations that are set by the pandemics. Have fun!
Dear ladies and gentlemen, in the EBDVF, I would like to welcome you. I am Walter Weigl, the Vice President of the Huawei European Research Institute, and we are a member of BDVA since 2015. I'm in the board since 2017. Saying this, we are very active in AI, data and cloud research, and hence we are very grateful that we can sponsor the event again. So thank you to the program committee and also to the European Commission to give us this chance. On the content, we believe that BDVA DIRO is so far really the place to be and to discuss about AI, data and vertical application research between different stakeholders, and we are very committed that this will stay for the future and that we will have a very positive influence on the success of the AI PPP. Now we have challenges. On one hand, here in Europe, this is a worldwide big AI rush and data science rush. So how to position ourselves, and we want to contribute via BDVA to the AI strategy of Europe. We have to look into large industries, small, medium enterprises, and work together from different industrial AI sectors with research. And we are again committed to do so further from Huawei. Just as an example, we have done together with partners one of the biggest big data health-related research projects in the last years, for instance with the Rotunda Hospital in Dublin. Now saying this, I would like to wish you all a very successful event. This is the place to talk about cooperation and to discuss, and my colleague Jason will be giving a presentation in the Industrial and Trustworthy section, because this is one of the most important topics. We may see regulation about AI and data usage, and we have to be here on the safe side. Thank you very much. Have a nice event.
Hi everybody. I hope everyone is enjoying the conference so far, either from home or from behind a screen, unfortunately. We've witnessed an acceleration of digitization recently due to the global pandemic. This has posed great opportunities for data and AI, but has also exposed some gaps and flaws. The advantage data and AI can bring are enormous. Think of sustainability of smart products and smarter production lines, new AI-generated insights and scientific breakthroughs, or increased anticipation and resilience in society due to a better knowledge position in government and industry. Equally, however, we need to be careful in the potential harms such technologies as AI and data can bring. Think of psychological harms such as screen addiction, social disconnection, manipulation, harms of de-skilling, losing local or tacit knowledge, and dehumanization in forms of automated decision-making. Or even physical harms when robots running on faulty AI can cause accidents on the shop floor, or when self-driving cars don't sense and interpret public spaces the way humans do, for example. At TNO, we work on and want to help leverage the EU goal of developing trustworthy AI and meaningful human control in that AI. And thereby we want to stress the following topics that we see as important for the coming time. 1. Human-machine teaming and hybrid AI as a basis of trust. We need to become better at combining expert knowledge with data-driven knowledge. 2. The role of responsible AI in relation to the upcoming AI Act. Understanding how to develop AI governance is a key challenge for the coming time. And 3, finally, the importance of effective data sharing for the development of good AI. All too often we see in practice that verified datasets to train AI models on is lacking or insufficient. Getting this right is a crucial step. I wish you all a good continuation of the conference, and I hope we can meet soon to further discuss these challenges on trustworthy AI on or off screen.